Hello friends, I welcome you all to this video. We are with the chapter 3 of Advanced Digital Signal Processing, the chapter titled Discrete Time Random Processes. And in this discrete time random processes, we have first of all understood the concept of random variables, the definitions and corresponding ensemble averages we have been learned. And then we started with exactly the learning for random processes. So up till now, after the definitions and corresponding ensemble averages for random processes, the most popular random process of the type Gaussian we have covered as in the previous video. Now in this video we are going to state about the independency of the random process with respect to the time quantity here. So we have the topic that is titled stationary processes. So let us see the details now. So here we can start with our topic, the topic that is titled stationary processes. As our subject is advanced digital signal processing, we find a lot of applications where whatever the probability theory that we are learning in this particular chapter, thereupon we encounter the statistics or the ensemble averages corresponding to the random variables or the random processes to have denotion in the probability theory. So the ensemble averages, the averages mean for whatever the number of times certain experiment has been occurred. So the trend of having the outcomes obtained to the result, that we average, we find the mean and the corresponding parameters we derive, those we use for the further probabilistic analysis here. So these statistics or ensemble averages are totally independent of the time here. So this is very important to know. If something is independent of time, so with respect to the change of the state, as we have a simple classification to be in motion or not to be in motion, so dynamic and static or stationary or in motion, so that way such the applications when we have the random processes having independency with respect to the time here, we must call such random processes to be the stationary processes. Moving further to see the details of stationary processes, we can have a simple example. So in this example, the random process we can consider with respect to a quantization noise, and this quantization noise that results from the rounding of the errors in a fixed point digital signal processor that typically has a constant mean and a constant variance whenever the input signal is sufficiently complex here. So as into the previous videos we have mostly seen that the two important ensemble averages that we work with are nothing but the mean and the variance here. So for such an example of the quantization noise, we find the constant mean and the constant variance here. Moving further, the assumption is also often found that this quantization noise is having, in terms of the probability theory, the first and second order density functions, and these are also independent of time. In the previous videos, we have seen the formulations with respect to, first of all, the probability distribution function, and after carrying out derivation of this function, we have the density function. So these density function, in the previous videos, we have seen that these are either dependent on the mean or the variance or sometimes onto the correlation coefficient. There is no role of the time here. Hence, we can say that these probability density functions are independent of time here. Now, here the time independency that we find can be in terms of, we can have the names to be either statistical time variance or simply we can call it to be the stationary here. So these are the two terms, and out of these two terms, the latter one, stationarity, that we have used into the topic name, hence we call it to be a stationary process here. So as just now we have stated about the first and the second order probability density functions, let us first of all talk about the first order probability density function. So with respect to the random process, for random variables we generally use the variables either x or y for the symbolic representations, and for the processes x of n, y of n. So in general, if we take x of n and this random process is independent of time, so mathematically we can represent a relation here. So on to the left hand side you can find small f, so it is the representation of probability density function. Onto the RHS also, there it is small f. So this is again the probability density function. You can see into the suffix of small f we have x of n. So this is the probability density function of the random process x of n. Here onto the RHS, to the suffix we have x of n plus k. So when we talk about the continuous time, we generally represent the signal x of t. For discrete time, we generally represent the signal by x of n. N will be having the discrete value 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on onto the positive side, or onto the negative side also you can show into the past. Now this probability density function is a function of alpha here. So the change you can see, whatever the left hand side is, that is for the time instant, discrete time instance x of n here, whereas the time instant has got been changed, but the value of the function that we have in representation is the same. Hence we equate f suffix x of n as a function of alpha, nothing but f suffix x of n plus k as a function of alpha again here. So this is the process that is said to be of the first order stationarity here. Now with respect to the probability density function on which this is mostly calculated are nothing but the mean and the variance here. So the mean of the process will be here a constant, and the variance is also a constant here. So in general, for the random process x of n, the mean we used to display symbolically as m suffix x as a function of n. So as it is constant, we can simply call it to be m suffix x. Similarly, for the variance that we generally represent as sigma suffix x square as a function of n, so it will be simply sigma suffix x square here. So this is with respect to the mean and variance corresponding to the first order probability density function. Now we shall switch to the random process that is said to be of second order stationarity here. So if the second order joint probability density function we take, it depends on to the difference that we have already seen into the previous videos here, and there it is the individual times into the role here. So here we can have the equivalent representation for the random process that is usually denoted x of n. So for second order stationarity, if any k we have the process x of n and the change into the time that we represent x of n plus k. Here we have x of n and x of n plus k here. So they have the same second order joint density function, which can be mathematically represented by this equation. So hereupon we can see we have small f probability density function onto the left hand side as well as onto the right hand side. Into the suffixes here we have, as this is for the joint case, it is a function of alpha 1 comma alpha 2. The same here, alpha 1 comma alpha 2 is to be here. And now to the suffixes x of n1 comma x of n2, whereas onto the RHS x of n1 plus k comma x of n2 plus k. So this is with respect to the probability density function of second order stationarity here. Here we can have one note. If we have the random process to be a second order stationary, so that time it is also the first order stationary. So this is the very important note when we are working with the random process. Now, in continuation to this knowledge, if we are still with the higher order functions, especially the joint probability density functions, so that time there the random process is said to be stationary of the order denoted by capital L if the processes x of n and x of n plus k, the time change that we have represented, have the same lth order joint density functions. And at last we have the random process that is stationary for all the orders. Here we have denoted capital L when taken into the positive sense. So L greater than 0, it is said to be stationary into the strict sense here. Now we have a very popular and another form of the stationarity that is named by wide sense stationary, what we abbreviate as WSS. You can focus on to the meaning that we have to this title, wide sense stationary here. So the abbreviation is WSS. While working further into this particular domain, you must be encountering this many of times here. Now, what is the criteria to call any of the random process to be a wide sense stationary? So more information can be given. In general, a random process that usually we denote x of n is said to be a wide sense stationary if there are three conditions satisfied by that random process. So let us go one by one to these three conditions here. The first condition is with respect to the ensemble average, the very simple and the first one that we have dealt with, that is the mean here. So when mean of the random process, if it is a constant, so this is the first criteria to be a wide sense stationary random process here. So as before we have denoted the general representation for a mean of the random process mx of n here. So simply being it a constant value, we denote it by mx here. Now we go for the second criteria. Now the second criteria is associated with the parameter that is autocorrelation function. So autocorrelation function generally we have denoted as r suffix x here, the x into the suffix to represent autocorrelation of which particular random parameter, variable or process that we are dealing with. So when it is totally depending on to the difference for rx in the bracket k minus k comma l here, when it is totally depending on to the k minus l, so here also it should be the l here. So that time it may be a wide sense stationary random process here. And the last criteria to get satisfied is nothing but with respect to the another important ensemble average, that is variance. So when the variance of the random process is a finite, so finite, so when it is denoted for the higher orders, we have the representation by c suffix x here as a function of 0, which is less than infinity, so it means it is a finite case here. So these are the three criterias with which we can identify whether a random process is a wide sense stationary, or in another words we can say these are the characteristic features to be a wide sense stationary random process. Now here the constraints that we have dealt with are placed onto the ensemble averages. So into the first criteria that it was mean, into the third criteria that it was the variance, and into the second that is autocorrelation. So there is no role of the time here. So the constraints are placed onto the ensemble averages rather than on density functions. The wide sense stationarity is a weaker constraint than the second order stationarity here. Now, if we discuss about the popular type of the random process that we have already dealt into the previous video, that it was the 11th one, the Gaussian processes. The wide sense stationarity is equivalent to the strict sense stationarity. So here you can mark the change with respect to these two titles, wide sense stationary and strict sense stationarity here. Now, in the case of two or more random processes, if we go for x of n, y of n, or in general x1 of n, x2 of n, x3 of n, that way up to xn of n, the similar definitions we can extend, and these are with respect to the joint stationarity. So always and always when the number of either random variable or random processes when has been increased, then we have taken the help of the joint moments here. Here the stationarity we can call to be of the joint here. So here we have the topic stationary processes, and at this case we can call it to be joint stationarity here. Now with respect to the wide sense stationary WSS process, we have the autocorrelation sequence, and it is having the number of useful and the very important properties here. One by one we shall go for the properties for WSS process here. The first property is related to the symmetry. Here the first property with respect to the symmetry can be stated as the autocorrelation sequence of the WSS random process is a conjugate symmetric function of k here. So conjugate function is known to everyone here, I expect. So with respect to the autocorrelation sequence that generally we represent small r suffix the representation of the random process. So used to be x in most of the cases. Mathematically we denote it as like this. So on to the left hand side we have simply the autocorrelation sequence r suffix x of k here, and here we denote the asterisk sign here. So r suffix x conjugate of minus k. So this is minus sign and the positive sign correspondingly onto the RHS and the LHS here denote the symmetry, and this symmetry is with respect to the conjugate that we have represented in this particular relation here. So this was the first property. The more details to the first property we can go with the real process. If we have the autocorrelation sequence can be simply a symmetric. So as in the representation of the complexity, so we have the real part and the imaginary part here. So when we don't have the imaginary part, so there is no role of the conjugate here. So here we denote Rx of k to be equal to Rx of minus k. So this is with respect to the only real part into the representation of the random process. So this can conclude the property number 1 with respect to the symmetry of autocorrelation function for WSS random process. Now we shall move to the property number 2. The property number 2 is with respect to the mean square value here. Again, as all the properties are with respect to the autocorrelation sequence, the autocorrelation sequence of the WSS process, here we take at lag k is equal to 0 is equal to the mean square value of the process. The mean square representation, the understanding we have already made into the previous video where we have the ensemble averages studied. The mathematical representation can be with the use of expected value for the square of the mod here. So here we represent the autocorrelation sequence Rx of 0 computed as expected value or the mean of, so E, and in the curly brackets we have square of the mod of x of n, the random process. So this is to be greater than or equal to 0. So this is property number 2. Now the next property is property 3, and this is with respect to the maximum value here. Now if the maximum value is to be talked about, so any value is nothing but the magnitude that particular random variable random process is having the information kind here. So as we are dealing with the autocorrelation sequences in these properties, the magnitude of the autocorrelation sequence of the WSS random process is at the lag k is upper bounded by its value at lag k is equal to 0, mathematically represented. Here we have Rx of 0 on to the left hand side greater than or equal to mod of Rx of k here. Now after property number 3 with respect to such a maximum value, we go for property number 4. So the property number 4 is with respect to the periodicity in the autocorrelation sequence of a wide sense stationary random process. So here we can have the condition if the autocorrelation sequence is such that represented Rx of k0 is equal to Rx of 0. So for the same k0, we have Rx of k to be periodic with the period represented as k0 here. So here the representation of the period, generally into the time domain we have capital T time period, or into the discrete sense, here we can either go for the use of notation by small n or small k here. So this is the periodicity. So this is the same period k0 at the specific intervals here. So the autocorrelation sequence Rx of k is periodic, and this is the period represented here. Now more information with respect to this. If we have the expected value of, here we have the mathematical representation. So it is square of the mod of x of n minus x of n minus k0. So it is equal to 0 because of the periodicity, and x of n is said to be a mean square periodic here. So this is the important into the property number 4 with respect to the autocorrelation function into the wide sense stationary processes. So the topic it was stationary processes. Mostly we have given knowledge with respect to what exactly the wide sense stationary process mean, the corresponding properties we have dealt with. Now we shall move further into the same chapter, discrete time random processes, by addressing the next topic that is titled the autocovariance and the autocorrelation matrices. These are also very important to be having the knowledge of when we are working into the probability domain here. Thank you.